I see celebration in a different way. I think celebration is a recognition that we want to do more. Celebration or celebrating women's strive in peace and security, it's also a recognition that the continent needs to do something different to make sure our women are a stronger voice when we negotiate peace terms, when we are doing reconstruction organizations and structural adjustment to our governance and peace building system. So the celebration for me is more of a recognition of how far we've come, but how far we still have to go.
Is there anything wrong that the women are doing so that they don't get to this table of negotiating peace or mediation and all that? Is there anything they need to do more?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the problem is with the women themselves. That's a false argument to make. I think we have institutionalized discrimination against women in many ways on the continent of Africa. Our cultures restrict women from getting access to these opportunities. Our institutions, the way they are structured, restrict women. In fact, in some countries, even our laws restrict women from sitting on the same table with men. I mean, there are countries where you go to, and women are not physically allowed to sit on the same table with men. They sit at the back. And they don't have a voice. For them to speak, they have to speak through a man. So I don't think it's a right approach to think that women perhaps are not doing more. I think we rather have to look at both from an institutional point of view, but also from a cultural point of view, the barriers that continue to block women from getting a seat on the table.
But what more can be done, probably by our institutions, by the men and the women themselves, to ensure that we have kind of a balanced aspect when we come to spreading issues of peace and security?
I think if I were to give any advice, would be perhaps just what kinds of partnerships. If I were a woman, I'm not, but if I were, I would probably be looking more of what kinds of partnerships for those that are involved in advocacy on these issues, for the women's group that are involved in advocacy on these issues. I would be looking at what kinds of stronger partnerships do I want to forge with the men like myself, who are very pro-gender, who are feminists. I think I'm a feminist to that extent. But I'll be looking at what kinds of stronger partnerships can I build to open space for those women who are ready, willing, and happy to come forward and participate. So it's much more about what kinds of partnerships, what kinds of programs, what kinds of structures do we put in place to facilitate their access, and very little about whether they're doing more or not.